Hey there, everyone. It's Caitlin, your geeky girlfriend, back again today with another Real Talk movie review in my Real Talk series. And I recently did a review of the original Lord of the Rings film, The Fellowship of the Ring. If you have not seen that review or if you have not seen that movie, then I recommend not watching this video until you have, because this video contains some spoilers for part 2. That's right. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. And this one took us the longest to get through. I think we had to break it up into like 3 nights of viewing. Similar to the first film, it is very long. It is over 3 hours, so you really need to commit to watching it. And this one, in my opinion, is the hardest of the 3 movies to watch. And we're going to talk about why in this video. As always, subscribe if you like my content. Let me know what you want to see me review next, and let's go ahead and get into the review. So similar to my review for the first one, The Fellowship of the Ring, I tried to organize the picture plot points in somewhat of a timeline. However, the events in this movie are just too scattered. There's just so much going on in this film that I just tried to put the major things on here. So we are continuing to follow Frodo and Sam on their journey to destroy the ring. Again, if you have not seen the original Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, you need to stop this video and go watch that film, because I do talk about events from the first film in this review. And we know that in film number 1, they meet up with Gollum, and he has agreed to lead them on their journey to Mordor, which is where they are going to destroy the ring. So that's one plot line that we have in this film, is their journey with the ring. Frodo is still carrying it. He claims it's his burden. We're still following them. Then, on the other side of the film, we continue to follow Aragorn, Legolas, and oh, surprise, Gandalf's back. He's alive. He didn't actually die. Right? So, again, if you have not watched the first Lord of the Rings, sorry, big spoiler alert there. Stop this video, go watch the first one. But in number 2, we find out that Gandalf he did die, but he's like back to life. So he's like reincarnated, because he says his mission here is not done. So he joins Legolas and Aragorn and Gimli. Gimli's there too, you just can't see him. To go try, their whole mission is to try and round up troops to fight, because there's going to be a battle. And I did not know this at the time of watching it. It took me almost 2.5 hours into the film to realize why it was called The Two Towers. So overall, this film is a lot harder to follow than number 1. You do learn more of the names, and it is sort of important in this one to know which, I guess, state they're all from, because remember, this is medieval times, so everything is ruled by a king, but they're all in the same realm or domain, so you have to think of it as like states with like a mayor or a governor, but in that time, everybody had their own king, and these lands are like, these states are large, so, Aragon and Legolas and Gandalf are on one side of a city, and Frodo and Sam could be on the other side of the same state and not even know it. That's how, like, expansive these kingdoms or lands are. So those 4 go and try and round up troops, and their first stop is to Rohan, which at the beginning of the film is ruled by this king who has been taken over by Sauron, the Dark Lord, essentially like another Harry Potter reference. I'm not kidding you guys, they just are there. This is like one of his minions. I honestly don't even know his name, but he has like hypnotized the king, and they end up, I won't spoil what happens, but this guy ends up being this guy. Okay, so obviously you can see that the mind control is stopped. I won't tell you how, but the king of Rohan like takes his place again as the king of Rohan, and they are trying to convince him to go into battle for this war that, up until, like I said, 2.5 hours into the film, I did not know what the battle was. I didn't know where it was going to be, but the whole film, they're talking about this battle with Saruman. Okay, so for those of you who have not watched the second Lord of the Rings, the whole movie is a battle. And that is very helpful to know going in, because it took me a long time to figure that out. We also have this storyline over here, which is Aragorn and his elven lover woman. And that's a whole storyline that like takes up part of the film. It takes up more of the first one. Like, you like these two have a part in the first one, Fellowship of the Ring. And then in number 2, there's like a whole separate storyline about why they can't be together, like a Romeo and Juliet star-crossed lovers type of thing going on. That's a whole nother storyline. So we've got 1, 2, 3, which these are kind of the same because all of these people are all in the same kingdom of Rohan. Then you've got 3, and then you've got this storyline here, which is the 2 hobbits, Pippin and Merry, get kidnapped in part number 1, and they end up like being taken by the orcs. Well, in the beginning of the 2 Towers, there's a big battle between the guards of Rohan, which is all of our famous heroes, right? So Aragorn, Legolas, Gandalf, they all fight the orcs and end up thinking that they find Pippin and Merry dead. Well, it turns out that Pippin and Merry actually made their way into the forest, which is inhabited by these Ents who are talking, moving, walking, living trees. And the Ents, like one of the Ents kind of takes the 2 hobbits under his wing, and tells them the history of the Ents, tells them their place in the battle and the war. And eventually the Ents go to the same, like they all end up fighting in the same battle. So we've got the Ents, Rohan with the horse troops, and all of our heroes are like fighting in this battle, which is why it's called the 2 Towers, because one of the battles takes place in Rohan and the other one takes place in Isengard, but they're like defending. So it's 2 towers. They're defending, Saruman and his orcs are in Isengard and the trees go there. But then there's also some people in Rohan fighting. So the whole film is about a battle, and you kind of forget that it's even about Frodo and Sam. Like that's how little they are in the film. So lots going on, lots of plot lines, lots of storylines. It's hard to follow. And if you look away or like doze off for 5 or 10 minutes, you're like, I have no idea what's going on. So that's why it took us a really long time to get through this film. And like I said, it took us about 3 days to get through it. And the plot summary is long because there's so much to talk about. But let's talk about the pros. The Ents are a great character. I just think they're really like old and wise. They're supposed to be like, I just think it's so cool to see how like the water and the roots, like how they're truly tied in and nature bound. I think that's just a cool concept to think about. And that's kind of, for me watching it, the Ents kind of demonstrate like how we should treat nature. Like trees have been around a long time, you know what I mean? They have seen a lot of war, they've seen destruction, but trees withstand for the most part. And so I think it was interesting to kind of think about what the perspective of a tree would be like. I don't know, I just really liked it. Gimli and Legolas's relationship is funny in this film. They kind of have this ongoing battle of who can kill more orcs. And so they like, that kind of adds like a little bit of comedy. Pro number 3 is in the time that you see Frodo, Sam, and Gollum, we, being my husband and I, started to develop a sort of empathy or sympathy for Gollum because he truly is like schizophrenic or suffering from multiple personalities because he has the ring, which has taken over part of his brain, that is emanating this Gollum personality of the my precious and the creepy, villainous, murderous being. And about halfway through their journey in this second film, Frodo starts to recognize how much he's struggling, and he starts addressing him by his former name Smeagol, and starts treating him like a being, not this like creature, but like a living, breathing man type creature or a hobbit type creature, a being. And so for the second half of the film, he's referred to as Smeagol, and Frodo really develops like a caring and an affection for him. And as the audience, we did too. We wanted Smeagol to like be Frodo's friend and just help them get to Mordor. Like I don't like the Gollum Smeagol, or I don't like the Gollum personality. I like the Smeagol personality that's like helpful, and you want him to like break away from the power of the ring and just be a better being. However, the cons are that you have this empathy and sympathy for Smeagol, and then, not to give anything away, but that kind of inhibits your enjoyment of the movie a little bit because you feel bad for him, but you like know that you shouldn't feel bad for him because he is causing Frodo and Sam so much pain and so much torment. And so you're just like on this like, do I want to feel bad for him? Do I want to make I don't know. So pro number 3 actually is also a con, because you do feel empathy and sympathy for Smeagol, and you like want him to be a better person, and then you have to just like watch him struggle, and it's hard. There is so much going on in this film, so many different storylines, but yet nothing goes on at the same time. Like, this film has a runtime of over 3.5 hours, possibly even almost 4 hours. And I feel like only an hour of it is really worth watching. The majority of it is the battle. That takes up a good 30 to 45 minutes of the film. And then the Frodo and Sam and Gollum part is the other significant section that probably takes up 30 to 45 minutes. The rest is them just riding around on horseback. They are just fighting orcs the whole time, like on their journey to this big battle. So the whole thing is just like fighting. And for me, that's just not something that I enjoy. And I just find it really boring. Way too long. Like I said, this movie could have been an hour and a half to 2 hours long, and they could have cut out a significant amount of the storyline. I understand they were trying to be faithful to the book and all that, but come on, it was way too long. And most of it was like boring and unimportant. And I just felt like, ugh. And again, if you watch my last video, my last review of The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, like, why does Gandalf not use his magic? I am blown away by this. There's all these orcs and whatever, and he's just hitting them over the head and stabbing them with his staff. Like, I don't understand why his powers are so limited, and I don't know if I'll ever know. The last con is Frodo even a character? Like, why are we having this whole movie about this ring, and then Frodo is literally in it for like 30 minutes, I swear. I am not exaggerating. Frodo and Sam and their journey is just, it seems like a minute part of the story when it's supposed to be the main part, right? Like, we're supposed to be following the ring, and they're going to destroy the ring. That's the whole reason why we're doing any of this. And yet I feel like we did not see them at all in this film. Overall, I give The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers a D. I would probably never watch this movie again. The only reason I watched it was to say I watched the whole trilogy. It was boring. It was way too long. And it was hard for me to think of things that I liked about it. And it honestly made me not even want to watch number 3. Like, after number 2, I said, if this is what number 3 is like, I don't want to watch it. And I enjoyed number 1 decently. So it was just such a letdown compared to number 1. If you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments, and let me know what you want me to review next time. And if I'm sure I'm leaving out good parts of the movie, so whatever you like, let me know in the comments. Like, maybe there's somebody out there who genuinely enjoys this film and really likes it for whatever reason. Let me know, because it was a struggle to get through this one. And I almost did not watch the third one, but I did. So you can check out my review in my channel, and I'll see you guys in that one. Bye-bye.